Well, hey, fabulous and happy day, happy day. So, I just want to come and just share a word of encouragement. Um, because life can be life in. But I just want to share just some challenges that I've experienced in my 52. Well, I'm not 52 yet. I'll be 52 in a few more days. Can you believe it? January 13th. I cannot believe it. But needless to say, so I just want to talk about having failed businesses, okay? Failed financial, having to restart and coming back from a emotional loss, right? A significant loss. And so, if this is your first time with me, thank you for joining. I'm Teacher Melanie. I talk about all things as relates to marriage, motherhood, money, and everything else in between because I realize all those things play a part. And one thing can cause pain, and it's just so much that can happen. And I want to just share with you the importance of just staying focused. This year, my four goal words are intentional, how I spend time with myself, with my husband, my children, my mom, my friends, my family, right? And just creating new memories, especially with the sudden loss that I just had with my father and my brother, both unexpectedly, not in a million years. I have a thing what we're saying now. If my brother and father can die, anybody can die. Not saying I was naive about it, but when it comes to your house and it knocks on your door and it lies in your bed and you realize, wow, this is really real and this is painful, the loss. And I say loss, no matter what type of loss it is painful because, I have in the video you saw I talk about financial loss. I've experienced that where 2008, 2009, when the financial market crashed, my husband and myself crashed with it. 13 investment properties. We end up losing 11 out of them. 11 out. We were able to keep one property and the one that we lived in. With that whole process, we never even thought that we would ever experience that, much less go through it, right? And having to get help, trying to navigate it, thinking that it was really, thought it was the end, because it happened just when we thought we were doing something good and not realizing that we weren't. Things were not in order. We were not dealing with the right people. Because that was another part, being mindful of who you connect with, and just not understanding the full process of what we could have done to save, not so much the properties, but just save the money that we had because we lost thousands. We had over $1 million value in property that in less than 2 2s was gone, absolutely gone. I remember walking out of my house. One particularly, my husband and myself, we were supposed to go walk together. I end up going one way, he ended up going another way. And for me that day, I was just like, I don't know where my legs was going to take me. I didn't know where my legs were going to take me because it was that devastating, that devastating. But thank God for great people. Thank God for my parents, my brother at that time too. He was so helpful. They were so helpful and instrumental. My dad at that time, that whole devastating time, that they were there, that I can still be here today to share with you that when temporary things happen, that you do not have to do permanent things to solve it. You understand what I'm saying? I want you to hear me. You do not have to do permanent things to solve a temporary problem because it was temporary. We were able to come back, and it wasn't an overnight comeback. It was a couple of years, because I've had several. At the time, I also had another business, so that business had failed. Well, I was doing mortgages and all of that. So I had an event business as well that didn't go that ended up folding because so many things were happening as well. But I thank God for those failed businesses now, because now it has given me an understanding of business. And that, listen, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Let me tell you, both my parents were entrepreneurs, my grandparents. So I've come from a lineage of it. And let me tell you, it is not for the faint at heart. It's easier to work for somebody, it really is, then you work for yourself, because everything falls on you. So it takes a lot of mental toughness. And I didn't understand that until recently, right? So now had to go back into the classroom as a classroom teacher. And then I just said, I'm just going to continue with that. Became an administrator and all that. But I realized that for me, that wasn't something I enjoy doing as much as I love the children. I love helping people and teaching things. That I do love. I really do love that. I really do love helping and teaching people things. But I also realize I also love my time. I also love where I can get and do things on my terms and not having to ask anybody to do it. So that's why I had left that industry, the educational industry, but then I'm in this industry where I can still get to educate in the financial service industry, which is one of the things why I decided to do and get licensed and all that, because I realized that financial literacy is not taught, it's caught, right? We got caught. Right, we got caught working, grinding, and paying bills, but we didn't get the full-fledged of it. And so for me now, it's not to get caught, right? It's to help others to get taught. So now they have the ability to create a legacy. Now they can make decisions that first they never thought they needed to make. All right, I understand how much control that they have. And so when that happened, we had to seek wise counsel. Let me tell you, we got a financial coach. We searched books and got a financial education so to understand how money works, because this money thing is no joke, let me tell you. But one thing I do realize is that, and I saw this with my husband, because I was the one that had all the degrees, okay? All of them, from my bachelor's, my master's, and was in the process of getting my doctorate, guys. And I was like, wait a minute, something's not right. And my husband said to me, he said that it doesn't make sense where you're going to get this education that's supposed to make your life better. You spend all this money for it, and then you can pay for that for the rest of your life. He said, let it make sense. And I was like, what's the big deal? Everybody does it, you know. But after all, when I thought about it and I started researching it, and my mind said, well, yeah, it doesn't make sense, right? And how many people, as I'm in this industry now, has gotten degrees, spent a boatload of money, some of them in the 6 figures. And I was like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. You've got what? Listen, I'm not judging. Let me tell you, I'm not judging, because they just didn't know and understand. And once I understand how student loan debt works and how it's a demise to keep us in bondage, thinking that you're getting a better life, then I'm like, once I understand the educational system, that's one of the reasons too why, those of you that don't know, I homeschool my children, because I didn't want them to be caught up into the educational system that's going to keep them bound. I did not want them to be test takers, but I want them to be lifelong learners. I wanted them to be able to control their education and not feel like if they wanted to achieve certain things at a certain level, that they have to be held back, right? Because I have our daughters, and I want them to be amazing women that are in control of their education, and that the sky is the limit. And that's something that my parents, my father has always taught us. That he said, the only person that can stop you is you. Let me tell you. And so once we were able to get through that, I mean, we've learned so many things as far as budgeting is concerned, and having a conversation, and what it means when it comes to having, protecting your money, right? Because we just thought about, okay, I gotta go pay the bills. But what we should have done was protect our money, because we spent so much money on trying to hold on to those properties and end up with nothing. So the banks got fine. They were fine. They were still taken care of, but yet still we lost thousands and thousands of dollars that would have helped us to start over faster. And the other thing too, that what I realized too, was that if you don't understand how to properly protect your money, that somebody can come and take it from you in less than 2 2s. Right? Because you're thinking it's about just paying the bills. No, because our credit still got shot, so it didn't make a difference, right? That's the thing. So we're trying to help pay the bills, whatever the case may be, use low enough money, but our credit got shot. We still had to start file bankruptcy, but guess what? We were able to start over, and we were embarrassed about starting for bankruptcy because we didn't know, but it was in place to help us to be able to restart again. And so bankruptcy became a blessing in disguise. It really, really did. It became a blessing in disguise. And what I learned through that season as well is that you are not a failure. And at first I was like, I'm a failure. God, we did all this. Now I'm like, no, I'm not a failure, because if the failure only occurred if we stop. And at one point I was like, I'm not doing nothing. Hence, one of the reasons why I had let my mortgage broker's license go as well, which I didn't even have to pay for it. One of the companies I was working for paid for me to get it, and I got it. Okay. Now I have to do it all over again, because now my clients are just like, I need to get to the next level. I want to buy a house. And I'm like, let me show you, let me help you. But needless to say, I can still help. Right? So let me say that. But I realized that season as well was like, okay, you didn't have to do all of that, right? But I learned that despite those failures, as I said, it's only a failure if you stop, if you decide that I'm not doing anything else. I've given up. I'm giving up altogether. I've given up. And when you get to that point where you're giving up, there's no hope, it's dangerous. Because then your mind gets to get the best of you, where you're just like, okay, this is the end. And I said, I'm so glad for people in my life. And I, at the time, had some type of willingness to get help. And it's okay. We have this stereotype, oh, if you get help, you're crazy. Get counsel, get therapy. Don't stay in a place of despair or loneliness, because it can kill you. Listen to what I'm telling you. So now in this season of life, thank God that I do have my business, in the financial service industry. It did pay me while I was going through the last couple of months of just regrouping with the loss of two of the most important men of my life, that I can come here and just share of how important it is to really be in a community, important it is to share your story, how important it is to be in prayer, how important it is to be around people that understand. Because when you deal with grief and loss, people sometimes will tend to shun you, right? Because either they don't know what to say, or they're scared they say the wrong thing. And I'm saying to somebody else, if you know someone that's experienced that, don't shun them. A call, a text goes a long way, even if you don't know what to say. Just say, I'm just letting you know that I'm thinking about you. That has been a very important support, and a very important feeling and encouragement. Because we say, oh, you're strong. No. Because when I get in my shower or wherever I am and I'm bawling and I don't know what, and just to have that moment, and I ask God, have you forsaken? Have you left? And I get those reminders, and it reminds me that I'm not alone. There is help. There is support. And so now in this season of having to put on, buckle up, get started, because now for me, I am really looking at being focused on myself, my family, just how I do things, being focused on building my business, which is a goal that I had last year, and a couple of goals that I didn't make. I put on my vision board, but life was life, and I didn't achieve them. And am I beating myself over there and say, well, you didn't achieve them, you're a failure? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because now I can take those goals. Because why? Because where there is life, there is hope, and put them on this year's vision board this year. So I see it everywhere. I'm diligently working towards it because it has to happen this year. So many things and so many people are depending on me, and with God's grace it's going to happen. So when money loss happens, we experience it. Marriage challenges happen. When you are in a job that you don't like, and you're like, I got to get out of this, and realize that, okay, I'm going to step out on faith. I'm going to trust the process which we've done. I'm going to be diligent and prayerful, be mindful of my mind, who is in my space, in my environment, and what I'm giving out to people as well, because I don't want to be around people, be a person of doom and gloom, but be very optimistic as well. That's why I'm being very, very optimistic. And so that's why I just want to encourage you that no matter where you are, if you've had to start over, if you had to come back from a loss, whatever it is that you've experienced, and you're like, gosh, can I get from this? And I'm saying yes. Why? Because where there is life, there is hope. And now me being in my 50s, which I cannot believe it, child. Because I remember back in the day when I was in high school and you heard somebody that were in their 50s, you're like, oh my gosh, you're so old. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to let with God's get the rest of my life be the best of my life in the mighty name of Jesus. That's my focus on. I am looking at how to make sure that everybody that is around me, family, friends, associates, get a sense of hope, get a sense of purpose, encouragement. Because one thing about it is that when life hits you, and it hits you hard, and you sit in it, right? You smelling it day in, day out, and you're just like, God, can I come from it? I'm saying, if you took a breath, you can. If you took a breath, you can. Why? Once again, where there is life, there is hope. And you have everything that you need already. Everything that you need. So listen, let's make 2025 and beyond to be the best of our life, the rest of our lives. I'm praying for you. Why? Because God is faithful, and he has reminded me in so many instances, even when those days when I'd be like, God, hello, 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 where you at? But I'm still here. You're still here. If you're watching this, you're still here. So let's make the rest of our life be the best of our lives. I thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And like I always say, remember to pray, plan, and believe, because God is still in the business of doing miracles. Make it a good day. Bye, fabulous.